G'day to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. It's just been a stormy day today, and as you can see, the river or the creek down here is flowing very vigorously. And what I thought I'd do after a full day's activity, having gone down to Stanwell Tops with my sister-in-law and spent the afternoon admiring the hang gliders just floating in the air and just doing their loop-the-loop and all of their maneuvers, and then going down to the Scarborough Hotel for lunch, and we drove back, stayed at home for a little while, and I thought I better get out and add yet another episode to my developing series of all that I've learnt from Anthony Robbins over the years. For those who are unaware, what I'm busy doing at the moment is I'm putting together a tribute series for Anthony Robbins, based on all the learnings that I have been able to pick up over the years from all the material that I've read, the seminars that I've attended, and the tape series that I've listened to. So what I want to do today is talk a little bit about one of Anthony Robbins' favourite topics, and that's the topic of change. Changing yourself and helping other people change themselves, on the premise, of course, that they want to change. You can't change anything, you can't change anybody unless they want to change. So that's one of the key messages, of course, to start off with. And Anthony Robbins talks about the fact that you need to find leverage in order to execute and to deliver change in behaviours and in people's habits. And I remember years ago hearing a saying, and the saying goes as such: you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink. And I remember at an Anthony Robbins UPW seminar back in the mid-90s, Anthony Robbins says that there is something that saying misses out on. You can lead a horse to water, and some will say that you can't make it drink, but if you salt its feed, you will influence its thirst, and it will lap up the water as fast as you can put it in front of it. So the saying should be, whenever anybody says to you, you can lead a horse to water and you can't make it drink, your response should always be, but you can salt its feed. You can add salt to its feed, and by adding salt to its feed, what you're doing is then you're forcing the horse through its own thirst to drink water when you take it to the riverbed. A very powerful and a very interesting spin and on words, but as we know in life, everything is possible, and it's all based on your belief systems. If you can believe, or if you do believe it's possible, then it's possible. If you believe it's not possible, then it's not possible. It's all based on your belief system, your BS. So you can be one of those people who believe that it can't be done, and you'll be right. Your confirmation bias will be rewarded, because you will see examples, and you will see hurdles, and you will see challenges that don't make the effort worthwhile. And yet other people who think it is possible will see the solutions, not only one solution, but multiple solutions, and they will build enough momentum, just like this river has built momentum to be able to push trees over, to move rocks, to move sticks, and to basically form its own path. Like the riverbanks will have an influence, but if there's enough force, if there's enough energy in that water, if there's enough water coming down, then it will reshape the banks to satisfy its own requirements. So let's get one thing right. You can't change someone who doesn't want to change. But a smart person will always look for leverage to help them see and understand that there is a need to change. Many years ago when I was working at IBM, and I say this story over and over again, but the reason why I say it is that it's so profound and it's so powerful, and it's something that I like to share with people. I had a manager back then who was a very, very hard-nosed IBM manager, had been working at IBM for 25 years and was one of the influences in the business. He had the ear of the CEO, Brian Finn, and he had a way with words, and he knew his stuff, and he was my manager. He was my manager for a few years when I was working in his team in marketing. And after one of my performance reviews, we talked about what I wanted to do, what I wanted to achieve. And he said to me, James, you need to change in certain areas of your life, because if you don't change, you will end up where you're heading. And that's all he said. But those few words, you will end up where you're heading, was enough to slap me in the face, so to speak, with the reality check. And that open-ended sort of questioning of me was something that allowed me to do some introspection and to look internally and to say to myself, what does he mean by that? And in order to check it out, to understand it, to test what he was saying to me, I just had to first of all try and figure out where I needed to be in 5 years' time, and then to see whether or not the behaviours that I was exhibiting, the habits that I was doing, the effort that I was applying, the circle of people that I was surrounding myself with was aligned to my values, my goals, and how I saw myself, and the expectations that I and the other people around me had in terms of where they wanted me to be and how they wanted me to perform. So it's important to have some honest people that you consider as your peers, people who are able to cajole you, to challenge you, to bend you, to stretch you, and to push you and pull you and to shake you up, so to speak, so that you don't get lazy, you don't take the easy road. Because many years ago I went to a Jim Rohn seminar, and Jim Rohn is considered to be one of Anthony Robbins' key mentors. Anthony Robbins worked for Jim Rohn selling his seminars early in the piece. And Jim Rohn said that being successful is very, very easy. It's very, very easy, he would say. But the catch is being unsuccessful or being a failure is even easier. So that's the hurdle that everybody faces. That being successful is easy. All you have to do is do the things you need to do. But becoming a failure or not becoming successful is even easier, because all you have to do is just do less of the things that you need to do, or maybe nothing of the things you need to do. And that's why laziness, that's why distraction, that's why hanging out with the wrong people tends to lead you. It tends to make you comfortable. It gets you to stay within your comfort zone in order to comply, in order to be like those around you. And Anthony Robbins makes a very valid point, and I love this point, especially this time of year, when it's Christmas time, when we're hanging out with family and friends. And he says that you need to love your family and friends and to respect them and to honour them. But your family and friends, especially these days, where there is pressure on the family unit to not be a family unit, and for people to be more individualistic and to be more laissez-faire and freeform in what they do and how they do it. He said that in these days, environments, family and friends aren't going to be the people who are going to help you grow, develop, and become the person that you're destined to be. In fact, these days, family and friends are the people who want you to not change at all, to stay as you were, to continue to be little Jimmy, because family and friends rely on hierarchies of relationships, and they don't want the hierarchy disrupted by somebody changing, by somebody challenging what the hierarchy does, and the connections and the levels within the hierarchy. And that's why family and friends usually, not always, usually will back off and let you be. But if they see you changing, if they see you improving, and if they see you growing, they will butt in and they will tell you and give you every reason why you shouldn't change or why you shouldn't take the risks. But Anthony Robbins says that family and friends, as we said, are to be loved. But if you want to grow and develop, if you want to experience joy and challenge, then you need to hang out with people who are going to be your selected peers, remembering that family and friends, family you can't really choose, friends you can choose, but once you've chosen them, it's hard to unchoose them. But you need to be surrounded by people that you have selected, people who you want on your team, people that are called peers, because they're the people who have and share similar thoughts, similar ambitions, similar sort of challenges, but they're also the people that can push you honestly, pull you, nudge you, kick you up the arse, challenge you, and get you to catapult and become action-oriented, as opposed to sitting back and living within your comfort zone They're the ones who are going to help you raise your standards, review your standards, change your standards, and hold you to those standards if, for example, your family and friends aren't doing that. Some people have family and friends who are tough, who are honest, and are looking at their best interests, and will talk to them as equals and treat them as equals. But it's not always going to be the case, because everybody has their own challenges, everybody has their own problems, and everybody is distracted. So you're not always going to have their full attention, and they're not always going to have clear visibility of what you're doing, what your plans are, what your capabilities are, because we grow and develop all the time, and not everybody can keep the finger on the pulse, because just like that river is moving and changing, continually changing, so too we as people are continually changing and morphing to our environment, to the people we hang out with, to the problems that we address, to the problems that we run away from. So there is a constant yin-yang, there's a constant hard-soft, there's a constant battle going on in our lives, and we are, depending on how aggressive and how ambitious we are with our willingness to take on challenge and to grow and develop, it will change us, and we're changing all the time. And in some ways, the changes that we're experiencing are step function changes, are very, very big changes that others may not be aware of. Getting into relationships, breaking up in a relationship, completing a milestone challenge in your life. All of these things contribute to who we are, how we see ourselves, in a positive and sometimes a negative way, depending on what is happening and what meaning we are applying and attaching to the experiences that we have in our lives, and also the weighting of that meaning. Tony Robbins reminds us that all people have had a great life, but not all people remember the great things that happen in their life, because there has been a couple of disruptive moments, a couple of disruptive things that have happened throughout their lives, which take precedence over everything else. In a relationship, you may have a great relationship with somebody for many, many, many years. You may have a great friendship with somebody, and all of a sudden something happens which damages that friendship. What tends to happen is people tend to remember that bad moment and put a big weighting on that bad moment, and tend to recall that bad moment over and over again and remember it and forget everything else. Because the way it works in life is that for every one negative, they say that you need 10 positives to neutralize that one negative. So you can do all the best things in the world to your family, your friends, and all of those people that you touch, but sadly, they will tend to remember that one unfortunate incident, or the thing that they may have misinterpreted or misunderstood, and they tend to put a higher weighting on that episode or on that experience, which means that they wipe out most of the good that you've done. So our bank accounts, our emotional bank accounts that we have with other people is influenced with the transactions that we put into those accounts. And sometimes those transactions can be influenced, as I said before, they can be manipulated by how we feel, how other people have communicated those things to us, or how we've communicated that thing to ourselves. So we need to be honest with ourselves and to go back over our lives and to look at the stories that we talk about over and over and over again, and to ask ourselves the question, am I correct in my interpretation of that event? What are the first, second and third level consequences of me thinking this way, of me believing these thoughts and acting in response to those things as well? And what you may find is that if you look out 5 years, 10 years from now, those first, second and third level consequences may be negative, and they may be extremely damaging, leading you to be isolated, leading you to be sad, leading you to be unwelcomed in certain circles. So we need to evaluate as often as we can and to weigh up what has happened and think about it. And 9 times out of 10, you're better off not overreacting and not doing something that's going to ruin connection and ruin your relationship, especially with those people that have been in your life for a long time. The smart thing to do, according to Tony Robbins, is to talk it out, is to tell people that you're unhappy because of A, B or C, and to understand that most people don't go out of their lives, they don't wake up in the morning saying to themselves, I'm going to ruin Jim's life, or I'm going to do something just to piss Jim off today. People don't behave like that, but sometimes life doesn't work out the way people intend. You know, the intent is not to damage you, but sometimes things just happen, things are said, things are interpreted or misinterpreted, and things just, blow and spin out of action, and they just get overwhelmed by silliness, and we end up ruining our day, we end up ruining other people's days, and we damage the trust, we damage the bond that we have, a special bond that we have. And as I said the other day when I went to my Auntie Frida's place, that families and friendships require hard work to keep together, hard work to get over, under those hard times. And we need to spend more time seeking and offering forgiveness to each other, because at the end of the day, every person we come into contact with, at some point in time, we're going to let them down in deed, thought, or action, or they may misinterpret what we're saying or doing, and we let them down and they hold a grudge. So what the big man says is that every single day of our lives, we need to evaluate our relationships with ourselves, our friends, our family, our peers, and to seek and offer forgiveness, to try and help people. And as I said yesterday to Monica when we went on our walk Monica is a friend of ours from Perth who's staying with us. We went for a walk yesterday, and I said, look, at the end of the day, you know, we need to seek and offer forgiveness to those around us, and to understand when people communicate. Anthony Robbins makes this point very, very clearly. Every interaction, every transaction of communication is either an act of love or a cry for help. So when people say things or do things, they're either expressing an act of love or they're expressing and asking for help. So it's up to us to be honest with ourselves and with them, and to ask the question, you know, do you need help? How can I help you? Are you going through some tough time at the moment? What is it? What did you mean by that? Can I help you, make it better? Can I help you? And it's really, really important, because as we're saying, and as Anthony Robbins says, we're all at different seasons, we're all at different stages, we're all at different phases of our lives. And the most important thing in the world is to meet people where they are, not to get them or think that they are going to meet you where you are. Some people may be going through some tough times at the moment, especially around Christmas time, and you need to reach out to them with love and to seek to understand them a little bit better, and to focus and listen to what they are saying. And it's a big point that we shouldn't just expect people to meet us where we are, but for us to morph ourselves into a position of understanding where we can meet them where they are, and either help them get out of the rut that they may be in, or to help them in whichever way we can to see life in a better way, to change their state, to change their mindset, to salt their feed, so that they can quench their thirst with our love, with our help, and with our nurturing. So Anthony Robbins talks very much about the ability to change, and to change in an instant. Changing is just a decision, and you need to be able to swap out one thing with another. Now, you just can't stop something in your life. You need to replace it with something else. And as Anthony Robbins says, if you want to change something and change it quickly and dramatically, you need to be able to associate tremendous pain by staying and maintaining the status quo, and attaching tremendous pleasure and satisfaction with the new outcome or the changed position. And to understand that, you know, people will do more to avoid pain than to gain pleasure. So you need to make certain things a lot more painful in their minds than what it may actually appear to them. And this is where Anthony Robbins uses the techniques such as the Dickens process, where he gets people to consult with their future self, saying to them, if you continue to behave the way you are, when you look back in 5, 10, 15, 20 years' time, what are the things that you're going to miss out on? what's the pain that you're going to receive when you look back, knowing that you could have changed and you didn't change? What is these habits? What are these friendships? What are these things that you are doing at the moment? How are they going to contribute to the future? And it's important to take that future and draw it into the present, and to feel the pain right here and now. And you can do the same in the opposite. You can push yourself out and consult your future self and ask yourself to feel the satisfaction, the happiness, the glory, the comfort, the nurture, the relaxedness that you'll have if you've achieved the certain things that you've achieved, and add to that, attach to that, significant pleasure. Make yourself laugh, make yourself smile, kick off the pleasure hormones in your body, and convince yourself, confidently convince yourself, because your brain can't tell the difference between something that is vividly imagined and something that is actually real. So you can do that by consulting your future self, but you can also go back in time and look at your past and look at the things that you've done, and now sit and look back saying, well, look, how do I feel now? I had all of this opportunity. I had all of these people in my life that I didn't take for granted, that I didn't leverage, and yet now I've got nothing to show for it. And associate pain with that as well, so you can go back and forth in both positive and negative ways, and deliberately influence the way you feel, and influence the pain and the pleasure, so that you can easily make an instantaneous change, because you can see, you can taste, you can feel what that change, what that improvement is going to do to your life. Conditioning is much more powerful than willpower, and Tony Robbins reminds us time and time again, you can talk about willpower all you want, but willpower is very, very limited, even in the strongest persons that you may know. And science informs us that throughout the day, willpower dissipates, and the more decisions you have to make throughout the day, the weaker your willpower becomes, until you get to the evening where most people are at their weakest and they make their stupidest decisions. They'll go and grab a packet of Tim Tams. They'll, who knows what you do, but you know yourself that, later at night, you tend to be at your weakest willpower, and you tend to make the most disempowering decisions that impact your life, and you wake up the next day and say to yourself, why the hell did I just do that? And you've just created yourself a monumental mess. So once again, willpower, if you rely on willpower, you're going to be disappointed. Some people are pretty good at willpower, but even the best people, when it comes to willpower, tend to fail. You need to rely on conditioning, because as the big man says, conditioning your nervous system, conditioning your body, preparing yourself, heart, mind and soul, is going to have a greater outcome. You're going to be ready for when those disempowering patterns start to appear in your life. to be able to make the right decision that has been preconceived, has been pre-seen, thought about, and the actions have been documented and put in place, is the best way I can see it. So once again, we need to examine as best we can all of our belief systems, and to make sure that our belief systems are aligned to our values, are aligned to our actions, and are God-pleasing, and are going to help us achieve the things that we want to achieve in our lives. They're going to enable us to serve God with all our heart, mind and soul, to glorify God with all our heart, mind and soul, to love others, our neighbours, our enemies, as we love ourselves, and to understand that the most important things in our lives is to continue to grow and develop and to become stronger, wealthier, wiser, more connected, more loving, and to do things that are going to serve God and to be a partner of God in His creation, so that we can make this place a better place for all. The reason why we are different from each other is so that we can be different for each other, for our strengths to complement other people's weaknesses, for other people's strengths to complement our weaknesses, for us to grow and develop and become better and stronger, more capable, so that we can help others and help ourselves, of course, and to know that we need to keep on growing and developing, because today's 8 out of 10 is going to be tomorrow's 6 out of 10, because we have atrophy and entropy, those natural conditions, those natural physical truths working against us. So just to maintain your status quo, if I was in that river there, that creek, and I was swimming up the creek, if I was swimming this way, I would have to swim very, very, very hard just to maintain my ground, let alone to gain ground. And if I stop for a rest, or if I don't do anything, I'll just go with the current to wherever it wants to take me. So we've got that to battle with every single day of our lives, especially now when change is happening so rapidly in our lives. Everything is changing, and we need to be careful that we're not compromising our values, we're not compromising our position, we're not compromising our belief systems, and we need to keep on doing what we need to do. Otherwise, as Greg Gleason told me back in 1988 or 89, if you don't change, you will end up where you're heading. So thank you very much, everybody, for taking some time to listen to this episode of all that I've learned from Tony Robbins over the years. I'm putting together a tribute series for Tony Robbins, based on all that I've learned from him over the years, and I'm putting together, hopefully, my goal is to put together 365 videos. This video today is number 74, so I'm over 20% of my way there, and I know that if I set myself a goal, if I have health, I will most certainly deliver on my promise, and I will continue to add to the series until I get to that point. So if you know anybody who may benefit from listening to this material, please get them to subscribe. As I say, I don't do it for subscriptions. I don't do it for likes, I don't do it for comments, because if I did it for any of those three, I would have stopped years ago after about 10 vlogs. Up until now, I've got about 1,650 vlogs on my YouTube channel. I am without doubt one of the biggest, if not the biggest, in the world in terms of content volume and content variety, having, as I said, over 1,650 videos on personal development, which includes book summaries, which includes experiences, personal experiences. It includes a thing called my Greek Orthodox Odyssey, where I talk about spiritual things, where I take material from a monk in Greece who has a vlog channel in Greek, and I translate it to English, and to basically take all of these things and to express it so that we live, learn and pass it on to the next generation, being to my wife, my children, my grandchildren, or anybody else who may find it of value. As I say, I don't do it for any purpose other than to capture it, to document it, and to make it available for free to whoever wants to use it for their own growth and development. Take care, wishing you all the best, and we'll chat again soon. Bye for now.